Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Deepanshu, one of the educators on Unacademy platform. And I'm very pleased to have with me today Miss Pooja Kumar, who has secured All India rank 207 in the from the entire team at Unacademy. Great feat. And so, first, a very normal
Thank you
question:
so much.
how does it feel to see you? How does it feel to see your name in the coveted list?
I think, to be honest, the first feeling was surreal. I wasn't able to believe at first, and the second was relief because I had been in the process for like 3 attempts, 3 interviews. So I
Right.
think before happiness or anything striking in, the relief factor was first of all there. And I got to know in the morning, one of my friends called in to tell me that I had gotten a rank, and I had only to
Right.
open the PDF to confirm that my name is actually there. So since then, I've been getting calls from so many friends, relatives. So it's a really, I think, a moment to treasure for lifetime.
Absolutely. So again, a very common question, but a cliche question. So
Right.
आपने नाम अपना search किया Control F करके करा था check करने के roll number, or like you went through one by one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or like how was the whole process like?
It was a little different because my friend told me that I got in the 200 range. So that's when I directly went to the page where the
Huh.
200 rank started. So I just saw my name to 207. So it
So
was,
yours is a little different. No Control F.
yeah, it's a little different. But like till before that, I was planning that, or day before, it was expected that the results would be out in a couple of days. I thought I would see it sequentially from the bottom of the PDF and not Control F.
Okay, not Control F. Okay. Okay,
Because
Pooja.
that is a
So
complete surprise.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really like heartbeat बहुत ज़्यादा fast हो जाती है going through that whole process of checking the entire numbers.
List, right.
So Pooja, uh, so just want like quickly know the how you got into this civil services की preparation की field में. Like what made you jump into this field? And can you just give us a brief background about your educational qualification and those things?
Right. So civil services, my father is in the Indian Railway Services from the engineering
Okay.
services. And I did have a
Okay.
few of my relatives in the civil services. So I think there was an exposures from the childhood itself. So I think the seed was there since the childhood, but only in college, once I joined DTU, being in Delhi, I think that I got the opportunity to join a few classroom coaching programs. And that's when I started preparing for UPSC
Yeah.
since my fourth year, back in 2016-17. And my preparation
Okay.
journey is a little long and tiring, and it might sound tiring. So it was around 3 attempts. First attempt I gave right after graduation 2017, and I went
Right.
up to the interview round, and I missed by some 20 odd marks. Second
Okay.
attempt, again, I went up to the interview round in 2018. Then again, I missed the cutoff by around 5 odd marks, which was quite close. So
Uh,
third time, I was slightly expecting that given my improvements in my previous attempts, I should be
right.
getting some or the other rank. So I'm
Right.
pretty happy that I hope that I'll be getting the services of my top five preferences.
Right. So your first preference would be IAS or anything else?
First preference is IS, and second is the Indian Police Service IPS.
So no foreign service for you.
Yes.
Again, generally it's a preference
Yes. So
for among female
it's a
candidates for
little
foreign
different from the
services.
convention. So
Yeah.
I hope that I'd be getting the IPS.
Right. So pretty inspiring because interestingly you said that it's a long journey, and I think a lot of candidates can relate to you because it's
Yes.
a very long and a tiring journey. And एक दो attempt के बाद you feel like कि बस सब हो गया शायद अब नहीं करते हैं. And so what made you really kept on going? I mean, of course, your family has civil servants, and I think, or is there a specific आप कह सकते हो कि कोई purpose है या reason है? What made you kept on going for so long, 3 attempts and 3 interviews especially? मतलब एक attempt
Yes.
होता है और एक होता है कि you have almost
There
reached
and
the
the peak
zenith, and
and
then
back to
suddenly
back square one.
back
Exactly.
to square one. Yeah. So what made you going on all the 3 attempts, man?
So like I felt like when I was exploring different career options in my college, there was of course doing the conventional MBA and going into the corporate world, or doing MS and go
Right.
for further research. But then I think civil services as a choice was was something which appealed more to me, because I thought this is a service where I would be able to contribute in some manner to the society. And of course, other services and other streams also do contribute. But I think civil services had that unique thing where if I enter the IS, IPS and the other services, there is a large degree of public dealing and public component. And also, I think as a job, I wanted a job where I had a lot of dealing with the public and not something that to be limited to, for example, a cubicle in the corporate sector. I think I am a very good conversationalist. So I think I loved interacting, talking to different people, understanding the issues and resolving them. So I think that is what even matched my personality. So in that way, that was a major component. And I think what kept me going was also a very good peer group. Like we had a group of friends who had reached up till the interview. So I think we acted as a support system for each other. So that I think was also very important for me. And another thing, of course, the improvement which I made gradually. So then that also added as a major fuel.
Pooja, will just hold on for a second. Rajat, can you check एक बार video? इसको तो edit कर लेंगे. कहाँ से lag हो रहा है? कहीं पे तो lag हो रहा है video.
Yes sir, काफी जगह पे lag हो रही है sir.
Okay. मैं भी थोड़ा यहाँ पे ना अभी light आ गई है suddenly, तो मुझे लगा I think उससे power fluctuation कुछ तो हुआ होगा यहाँ पे भी. Anyway, so yeah, Pooja. So we will continue with the session. So next question is, Pooja, your optional was PSIR.
Yes.
Again a blue-eyed optional. बहुत ज़्यादा लोग prefer
right.
करते हैं optional. और ये एक बहुत common perception है, अरे इतना सारे लोगों का competition है. So what made you choose PSIR, and like what was your background and what made you decided that I'll go with PSIR as an option?
So my background was electronics, again engineering. So yeah. I think like when I was studying, I did not really have that kind of knack in engineering. And I was honestly a little disinterested. I wanted to like study something else apart from engineering. So I thought like, let me just explore some other option. And political science I did take up because, of course, seeing the success ratio, most of them ultimately get, I think people do prefer more popular optionals. Right. And apart from that, I think a certain degree of interest which I had in the subject. Then again, the conventional overlap with the few of the GS papers and the essay papers. And thirdly, I think that there is also somewhat the material is also available more easily. Like apart from the coaching support, I think if you find different things online also, it is much easier available. And then the coaching support, and also you have a certain degree of consolidated material available in political science. So I think all these factors in different proportions really helped me guiding myself in joining the conventional and the popular option political science. Or say, for example, other options, I was even considering sociology, geography, but then somewhat I think I just had to choose one, so I ultimately went with political science.
So you just for PSIR. That's also interesting because a lot of aspirants nowadays who come from engineering background, उनका एक बहुत common question होता है कि engineering background में 4 साल आपने जो पढ़ा हो engineering. So I just want to know from your perspective, because engineering आपने करी थी, though you wanted to study something else, like what advice do you want to give to somebody who wants to opt as electrical engineering?
Okay, opt as electrical.
Or what, either way, like what made you go through, choose, opt as electrical engineering. Like you already had that subject and you had an experience. It would have been a good enough optional also. So what was your, maybe take points out of 5 that maybe these, so that is why I'll go with PSIR. And that would be really helpful for a lot of people watching you.
See, first was all that engineering itself, I think that humongous books was something which dissuaded me. And there was a lot of content available, but then I had to consolidate it. So second was, I thought that some people, I wanted to give up attempt right after college, 2017. So then I thought that somewhat covering a bigger syllabus like electrical would be difficult because I would have to manage GS and essay. I thought that to some degree, my optional preparation would also translate into better GS knowledge and essay knowledge. And I agree that some degree it did help me. And I think third, which I think no candidate should be doing, that the candidate should not be getting into seeing the list. I did feel a little dissuaded of the fact that I saw most of the toppers from electrical background coming from the premium IITs. I'm also from DC, but then I did think that probably do I even stand a chance in front of them? And I did see a few of the toppers who were toppers of engineering services and then coming and joining civil services. So I thought that these people have studied and done their GATE, MTech, and then finally got in a good mark in civil services. So I think that I don't recommend this to candidates, but yes, we do to a certain level develop such biases when we start exploring and thinking about different optionals.
That's, I mean, yeah, I mean, coming from a very premier engineering college and, you know, with that too with a core optional, it's little surprising because I'm pretty sure that must have been one of the questions, if not wrong, in the interview, that why I did not opt for basically an engineering optional coming from a premium college like DTU. So yeah, that would have been one common sticking point.
And
but nevertheless, so can you just like guide us? Yeah, sure. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, sure. Another problem was at electrical and electronics engineering. So like the certain subjects I saw, it was not there in the art curriculum. So I thought that I would have to do something extra. So when I had to go an extra mile, I thought like, let me just study another subject. Hello.
Okay. So guide us, like what was your preparation strategy for PSIR optional? Like how did you go about PSIR?
So initially I went about just going through the IGNOU basic material, just a summary assessment of whether I even like and do I have a taste for it. Then I did join a classroom coaching for my political science optional, and from that I prepared concrete notes. And apart from that, I did refer sources like the ORF, then Indian Express. I did read editorials, Hindu. So I did look at these editorials and all, and to find out some brownie points in that arena. And so like, and apart from that, yes, I did solve meticulously the previous year questions of like last 6-7 years. And so I did have a fair idea. And if I had certain doubts in the question, I used to try and refer it and Google it online and add these brownie points in from the internet itself. So I think it might look quite, I haven't done much, but I think that it is very important to be very smart in the preparation.
Correct.
Hello? There was some snag, I think, for like 4-5 seconds. So
I think there was some there's some lag. I'm just checking. Yeah, just a second. Rajat, is it okay? Rajat? Pooja, can you hear me? Am I audible and visible to you?
Yeah.
Okay, Pooja. So about PSIR, then there's a very common perception also कि PSIR choose करने का advantage है कि है that you have a lot of common in GS2 and essay में भी help मिल जाती है या फिर ethics में भी help मिल जाती है. Was that one of the major reasons also for choosing PSIR?
To some extent, because I wanted to summarily finish my syllabus. So I thought that there might be certain knowledge transfer in that domain. But then it's a personal choice, I think, end of the day.
And did you like take any coachings or like refer any material for PSIR,
yes,
or was it all your own preparation?
No, I did take one classroom coaching in Old Nagar because I thought that it's a new subject for me and I wanted a certain degree of foundation. Based on that, I would be able to build on it. So I think that foundation was important. And after that, once I've understood and have gotten a knack of the subject, it was slightly easier for me to understand.
All right. So in the hindsight, like if you see in the past three attempts that you have given, if you look back, can you like point out a few things which the people who are watching you are aspiring to be like you would work on, like what exactly went wrong in the previous two attempts and you could have done better probably?
I think one is the mindset that one should not be nervous about the fact that they won't make it to the list. Now that I have cleared, I was always had some degree of doubt whether I would even make it, or we as candidates tend to blame that possibly we're not lucky enough or things like that. So I think one should have a winning mindset that no matter what, I will clear this examination, be it in the first attempt or the last attempt. So that depends, and your stars might align in any of the attempts. And so this is one thing which I think is important. So some degree, I did have a certain degree of phases where I felt that probably I might not make it. I was nervous. I was doubtful of my capabilities. I think this should not be there. And if you are doubtful, work on it. Please do not think that I will not be able to improve. Very normal people end up clearing the exam. Like I remember 4 or 5 years back when I started, I used to think that the toppers are people who have amazing caliber and very good writing style. You tend to develop. If you're going to study consistently, you're going to develop. And the second thing was that in my first attempt, I did not perform well in my essay and my ethics paper. These 2 papers, I thought that coming from a convent school, I thought that I am good at writing English. I would be able to manage essay. I would be able to manage ethics.
Right.
But to be honest, these 2 papers are not merely wordplays. You have to have concrete notes, concrete examples, data, facts, and understand. Like I went to the toppers papers, and that's when I improved slightly in my second attempt in my essay and my ethics paper. Then again, I did slip back on my optional. I scored well in the optional, but this time I tried to maintain a balance between all the papers. So I think that, and mentality is very important, because I've seen aspirants, they tend to tag off. They just work 1 or 2 months before prelims, or 4 or 5 months during between pre and mains. It is a hard work of 2-3 years culmination. One cannot think that I'm going to work for 4 months or 5 months and then clear this examination. So that resilience and perseverance has to be there.
All right. I think I missed the last bit of it, but nevertheless, I mean, can you just repeat what you said in the last line? Because I think the internet connection just fluctuated.
So I just said that the resilience and perseverance should be there in this examination. Like one should have a mindset that this is going to be a long process, and even if it's a long process, there is going to be something at the end of it.
Okay. So one very common question again, how did you manage your current affairs? Because PSIR is optional SI plus apart from that, you also have to have a lot of dynamic thing also. So how did you manage your current affairs? And interestingly, I came to know that you used to watch my very old videos, which are no longer relevant right now, but nevertheless. Then how did you consolidate your current affairs?
So current affairs, I did go to the Hindu on a daily basis. And to augment that, I used to just look at the editorials from Indian Express. So if I found a particular line which is more appealing, or a data or fact, I used to jot it down in my notes separately. And also while jotting down, it is important that you understand that what were the questions which were framed in the past and what can be asked in the future. And you can think that I can include this data or this fact in this particular question. So apart from that, there are certain current affairs compilation by different coachings. So that is what I refer to for further augmentation. And sometimes I did watch ORF online videos on YouTube. That helped me developing a perspective, I think, but which perhaps helped me more in the interview than compared to the mains.
Yeah, ORF is a good source that way. Yeah, well, pretty diverse topics they have. You know, it's not just foreign policy, which people mistake. They have, in fact, a lot of videos and content on very range and diverse topics. So, last bit of question, Pooja, like, how was your interview experience this time? Because they would have definitely asked you that, because last 2 times you had appeared in the interview.
Right.
So, was there any difference in the interview process this year? And last question is that presently we are in very challenging times of COVID, and you know the exams this year are going to be on 4th of October. So, any suggestion or particular advice that you?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Pooja. Yeah.
Did
you get the second part of the question?
Yeah, I did get it.
Okay.
So, like the interview was this time with Sujata Mehta ma'am, and this time I think for my side I was more calm and composed, because I knew was well aware of the process, how one should enter or like greet people, and that fear factor was slightly less this time than compared to the last 2 times. And I think there were not any difficult questions as such, but I was certainly asked that what have you been doing since 2017? And I think most students tend to feel a little embarrassed in such a question, that to explain their 3-year gap. But then I was pretty confident that I said, ma'am, that I have been fully committed to the civil services preparation, and this is what I've been doing for the last 3 years. So I would say that some candidates have a tendency that they feel that I have a 3-year gap, 2-year gap, and they should be filling this gap with probably some NGO or a job, which is not, which is a complete fake thing. So I think that should not be done. One should be confident and honest about the fact that one is preparing. Because yes, there are certain times we are apprehensive about the huge gap which we have in the preparation.
Right.
And apart from that, I think the board was very cordial. I think they are quite patient in listening to your responses, and a little different from the mock interviews, because it was a little more opinion based in that manner. And so, and apart from that, the second part of the question, that I think my message to the students preparing for the upcoming prelims examination on this COVID scenario, I think that being at home or just staying without any connection with any people whatsoever, not meeting people, I think this is the golden opportunity for you all. I think with no distractions of going to weddings or birthday parties, you should be seizing this moment. This moment is not going to come back. But staying at home also makes us quite indisciplined. We tend to slack back in our preparation. So a student should be preparing some kind of routine, should be on a daily, weekly and monthly basis, wherein the student would be able to follow it, and try to reward yourself in terms of, probably if you just stuck to your routine for 1 week or so, then try rewarding yourself by probably not ordering food from outside, but still cooking something special for yourself or something. So that is important. But make and solve a lot of mock tests. I think now is the time to shift your focus from your mains preparation to your prelims preparation, doing all the mock papers which you possibly can, and try evaluating them in the sense that your wrong answers, your number of attempts, the numbers which you've gotten correct or incorrect, see what your accuracy is like, and then understand what you would possibly attempt in the examination. Obviously, it's not possible to say that you have to attempt 90-95, but understand what your comfort zone is, and then accordingly. So that is important, shifting your focus to your prelims. And also remember that it is going to be on 4th October, because we might be apprehensive. Last time it was postponed, so it can be postponed. Yes, it might be postponed, but remember, make your timetable as per the 4th of October prelims examination, and do not think that it is going to happen sometime later or so. So that is important. Do not think that it is going to be in January or something. That is important.
Coincidentally, the results came out like just 60 days back, prelims,
yes, right.
So 4th
of
So
now
August,
it is going to be on a mission mode, that you are on a mission to clear prelims. And also another important thing is that try getting as high marks as possible in prelims, because then the 20-30 days is very crucial post prelims. If you are slightly on the boundary line, you tend to feel a little ambivalent, that you may or may not clear prelims, and you're not able to go full throttle in your mains preparation.
Correct.
So that is important. Try and aiming as high as possible.
Correct. I mean, that's a very valid point, because a lot of times we are always on the borderline and we are thinking hoga, nahi hoga.
And we are discussing on groups about the cutoffs.
So, Pooja, thank you. Probably when scenario gets better, we can have like a proper view.
Hello?
Yeah. Just missed on the last
part. I wasn't able to hear the last part, the entire last part.
I was just saying that many congratulations from our side and from me in particular. It's good to see people in your friend circle, or rather on. So it was pretty interesting for me to find you in the friends list and qualifying the exam. In fact, 5-6 people from my Facebook friends list. Thank you so much, Pooja, for the kind words, and it really feels honored that in one way or the other, somewhere my videos were, in one way were helpful at one point of time when you started preparing. So it's honor and privilege for me also. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we would love to have you again on some session at Unacademy, maybe on Chamomile Tea at Toppers. Wishing you all the best and success in your future endeavors.
Thank you,
Pooja. Thank you. Thank you, Pooja.